This is the Obstacle Overcomer Podcast, dedicated to helping you overcome the obstacles that have been holding you back. My name is Nikki, and I'm a mother, author, empowerment speaker, singer, narrative changer, and obstacle overcomer. Each week, I'll be bringing you both the spiritual and practical tools that will empower you to overcome the challenges that you've been facing. You have the power to change the narrative of your life. You don't have to accept things as is. And always remember, obstacles are not barriers. They are stepping stones. Welcome back, overcomers. Welcome back to another empowering edition of the Obstacle Overcomer Podcast. It's your host, your girl, Nikki Johnson, the overcomer and your empowerment coach. Y'all, I have an entire desk full of notes because I have such an incredible guest today. I want to try to extract everything I can possibly from her for us today. And today we're going to be talking about I'm a Black woman and what that means to you. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Today we have Dr. Carolyn Stevens, who was raised in New York City. She relocated to Atlanta, Georgia to pursue a career in fashion. But after working with children in the underserved population, she transitioned her educational pursuits to work in the mental health field. Dr. Carolyn now serves as a community clinical therapist and family support specialist. She also holds a doctorate in divinity and uses her education and her experience to promote cultural diversity with the focus on empowering, and I love this word, and developing African American women. Currently, she serves as the CEO of Black House Collaborations, Inc., and she is the founder of I Am a Black Woman book series. She empowers women to rise above challenges and champions community strength through unification. Help me to welcome Dr. Carolyn Stevens. Welcome to the Obstacle Overcomer Podcast. How are you doing today, Dr. Stevens?
I am absolutely black-tabulous. I'm doing awesome, and I'm so excited about being here on today with you, Queen.
I am too. That's why I'm stumbling over my words today.
Right.
Absolutely excited because I'm going to dig even more because I know there's a lot of treasure that's about to come out of your mouth. So before I start getting all up in your life and your business, I want to talk about who you were before you were a doctor and therapist and counselor and superwoman. Tell me who you were as a little girl. Where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
Oh, wow. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Shout out
to Brooklyn.
Okay. BK in the house, as they say. Yeah, so I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, what is known as Red Hook Projects. And I always like to tell people, where I have hailed from. Then I transitioned from Red Hook Projects in Brooklyn over to Do or Die Bed-Stuy, as they call it.
Do or Die, yeah.
And then I left Bedford-Stuyvesant to relocate to Atlanta. But my childhood was pretty playful, pretty what they would say normal. I went outside in the projects. I jumped double dutch, so I was a double dutch queen. For those of you watching and listening that know about double dutch, I played hopscotch and skellies, and came home and watched the black and white TV with the foil at the end of the antenna.
Yes.
And, I grew up mostly with a single mom. My mother and father divorced. I think I might have been around 6 or something like that, but mainly grew up with a single mom. And then around age 14, I moved in with my dad, my hero. Until I left for college.
Why was he your hero?
Oh boy. There was a point in my life, Queen, where my mother and I'm not going to say we didn't get along. I'm going to say we didn't understand each other.
That part.
Okay. And so we had a really rough time of it. We weren't communicating as well as we should have been at that time. And so my dad was my hero. And when he transitioned a couple years back, people asked me why I took it so hard. And I said, because he saved my life. I was a little girl at 14. I was lost. didn't know how to communicate with my mom, didn't understand her, she didn't understand me, and he helped me find me. He helped me find me, and because he was always accepting, and whatever I wanted to do, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. He always said his favorite 2 words: "Do it." do it. And so my daddy gave me my wings and helped me to fly. So that's why I say he was my hero. And later on in life, my mother and I, and that's another experience, but my mother and I, we did become very close later on in life before she transitioned.
Amen. You said something that was so very key. I'm going to take it from parent-child to adults. There's nothing like when you have a man in your life that gives you that type of security, that type of support, and listens to you. Now I'm going to take it back to parent and child. There's nothing like having a parent, especially if you can get 2 of them, having a parent that believes in you when you're trying to understand you, let alone even believe or understand yourself, but believes in you and supports you and listens to the point that they say, whatever your dream is, do it. That takes you so far in life.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And my dad, we used to sit down and have talks, you know. He used to drink his coffee and smoke his cigar. And I enjoyed that most of all. We just used to talk, and he was a very, very cool guy and non-judgmental. And I get my creativity from my dad. I get my love of Black culture from my father. But he was just a non-judgmental person. Hey, whatever you want to do it. And for me, my dad set me free, because I guess some people would say I was a really different kind of a kid, you know. And so my mom, she just didn't understand me. She loved me, but she didn't understand me, and I scared her, you know. I scared her. So, but my dad, he embraced me. He embraced my authenticity and encouraged me to just be whoever it is that I wanted to be.
Yeah. Quite often I found that parents that were like your mother were afraid because what you have, they always wish they had, and didn't know how to release it, didn't know how to hone it, didn't know how to even embody it. So when you exude all these things, there's a little bit of jealousy there, because they would never do, they were too afraid to. And then too, your power and your freeness that you had to do it probably terrified her, because she didn't even know how to speak into it. Your father, on the other hand, was like, baby, do you. And so when we come to that understanding as adults, we can have better relationships with our parents, grown up to grown up versus parent to child, because now we understand more. Sometimes you just do the best that you can do with what you have. And if you're afraid and you're terrified, you unwillingly pass that on to your child. But I thank God your father rescued you too, because now we have Dr. Carolyn Stevens.
Woohoo! And you know, Queen, you said something real profound. Because there are a lot of queens, I'm going to say, over the age of 40. Specifically, or 45-ish, I want to say. Yeah. Because when I talk to a lot of women, oftentimes they might say things like, my mother didn't like me. We didn't get along. But I always tell, especially Black women, that we have to understand that these women came from a different age, Yes. And most of our mothers, grandmothers, they didn't learn about individuality. They didn't know anything about self-expression. They didn't know about that. What they knew was how to survive.
How to survive.
And everything they did to teach you how to survive. And so in trying to teach you how to survive, when you're this free, I'm a 60s kid. So this, I wanted to wear the afro. I didn't want to wear no bra.
Right.
All of that. And when you're a woman,
I still
you have
don't.
been taught how to survive. That's all you've been taught. And you see you got this daughter, and you don't want anything to happen to her. You want her to fit into white society and stuff like that. And so when you see her going against the grain, it's not that they don't love you. They just really operating with you out of their own fear. And like you said, inner desire. And my mother eventually told me, I wish I had been more like you.
That part. See, when God taught me that years ago, because I had the opposite of what your father was to you. Mine used to tell me, you ain't gonna be shit. And I'm not trying to be vulgar. Those were his words. Okay. So I grew up fighting that because I was believing it for so long. And then when it came to my mother had all of these fears and insecurities. And, we've discussed them. I'm not, going to be airing out, stuff here, but we've discussed those things in these years, which makes me understand her as a woman to woman. I get you. And when it came to forgiving my father, I had to understand hurt people do hurt people. I had to also understand that deflection sometimes is the way people cope with stuff. So the things that he saw in me that he couldn't see in himself, he attacked. The things that he saw in himself in me, he attacked, because he was always attacked. So he just did what he knew to do. And in their minds, first of all, it is the best that they can do. In their minds, it's right. And so when we come to understanding as adults that they clearly, I don't care if they were smoking drugs, they did the best they knew to do with what they had. And if they grew up broken, then they parented as broken people. So adult to adult, you can understand one broken woman to another. You can understand one woman to a broken man. And that helped me to have the most beautiful relationship with him before he passed away. And a beautiful relationship with my mother now, because when I talk to her, she just opens up, because I came to her with the words, I don't judge you, I forgive you, and I want to understand you. I want to understand what life was like through your eyes. Because our big mistake that we make is, but they're our mom and dad, but they were people before they ever had you. They had backgrounds, childhoods, they had trauma. They had all these things happen before they brought you into the world, and it becomes about you and not healing. So whatever they came with, that's what they imparted onto you, and it was not with malicious intent. So anyway, go ahead.
That's I'll say this, and then I want to say what you just said, how powerful what you said, because that's the healing right there. When your dad said what he said to you, really, the way I translate that, what I heard is, I don't know how to love you.
That's it. And I ain't shit.
That part. And so people only can love you out of what they have. That's it. Where we get hurt is when we are looking for people to give us something they just don't have. And sometimes it's hard for us to accept they just don't have it. It's not even about them not wanting to give it. They just don't have it. Yeah. So people treat you and deal with you out of, like you said, the best they can. But the beautiful thing though, Queen, that I love what you said, and that is the beginning of the journey of healing. Yes, when you are willing to say, I'm not going to stay stuck in the what. Yeah. I'm going to search for the why.
Come on now.
Once I start searching for the why, and I allow myself to go past my pain to understand this person that's inflicting the pain, I now become free.
That's it.
Because once I understand your why, and I say, okay, got it. I got that. Because what that now tells me, it wasn't me.
It had nothing to do with me.
And what happens is, the reason why people get stuck emotionally is because they cannot detach from what happened with who they are. What happened to you has nothing to do with who you are.
That's it.
What happened is what happened. and who you are is who you are.
Yes.
And once we learn how to detach from that, so somewhere in your mind, you realize what he said, that's not me.
That's it.
So there has to be another reason.
Yeah.
And for me to solidify my healing, I'm going to take the journey of empathy, and I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
find out why did he say what he said, because I realized it didn't have anything to do with me. And so many people, unfortunately, so many women don't make that journey, but I'm so glad that you did. That's awesome. And
God is
and
good.
that's strength. That's strength.
Yeah, God is good because his words weren't matching up to what God kept saying. You know
Hey,
what I mean?
hey, hey.
The way I would feel when God would talk to me versus that, it never matched up. And I got to a place I was so tired of being tired. I was so defeated and depleted. I was trying to raise my oldest son and not do to him what was done to me. And it was conflicting because I was on the other end of the extreme. You know what I mean? So I needed balance. I needed healing. I needed deliverance. And God started allowing me to see what it was like being my parents toward me in my own parenting, right? There'll be some things that I say or do to my son in a moment. And I stop and think and be like, this is probably what they went through, right? But they didn't grow up apologizing to their children, and they didn't grow up fixing stuff. We were always on survival mode as a people. It was go to work, it was pay the bills, it was make sure there was food on the table. If it's family issues, well, we get to them, we do, we don't. And other stuff, what goes on in the house stays in the house. They didn't sit and they didn't talk about, they didn't hash out stuff, they didn't work things out as a family. So God allowed me to be the beginning of that in my family.
Oh,
And
wow.
you, I'm sure as well, and other people that are seeking healing and want to be delivered and want to be unchained. And I totally believe that's why the conversation has gone this way so far, because
Yeah.
whoever's watching this needed to hear these keys. They needed to hear these keys to be unchained and unlocked. So thank you for letting me take you there. You taking me there too.
Oh yeah. Thank you for taking me there.
And we thank
Yeah.
God for taking us both here.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, you went from wanting to be in the fashion industry to
Yeah.
working with underserved families and children in different communities. What took you from fashion to service?
Wow. I often ask myself that question, I've always loved, it wasn't so much about always loving clothes, growing up, living right near the garment district, right in
Mm,
the heart of everything that's fashionable comes from.
right.
You know, I was a creative person. I was a creator, and I love beauty, and I love to see women looking beautiful. And so I started my educational career, going into fashion. It seemed to fit me. And it's so funny when I think about it now that you brought the question up, because I had this plan. We always got plans.
Hmm.
And I had this plan. First of all, I wasn't going to be married. It was not even that. I was like, miss me with all that. I was not going to.
Yeah.
I saw that as being shackled down, and I
Hmm.
didn't want to be tied down. And I didn't want to be tied down because, I said, well, I probably would have one child. I
Hmm.
wanted to pursue a fashion career. I wanted to go out to LA, hang out in LA for a while, and then eventually live in Paris. And that
Oh,
right
that was
there was the
that was
dream.
my life.
But when I was in college and continuing my studies in
Hmm.
fashion design and in merchandising, because I wanted to be on the business end of the fashion design business. So I
Hmm.
was in Atlanta, and at that time, Atlanta, a career in fashion design wasn't very promising at that time.
Right.
It's a bit better now,
Right.
but I didn't have like a spiritual awakening or an epiphany, Queen. I knew I had to eat. That was, that
Okay.
was just as simple as that.
Okay.
And I was like, so I got to eat and I got to pay some bills. So this right here is not jumping off. So what do
Right.
I need to do? And I knew I liked children, and I knew I liked to work with children in terms of creating with children and
Yeah.
teaching them how to create. So I said, well, I'll work at an early learning center. I need to pay the bills. And when I got there, the teachers started to gravitate to me, and they said, well, could you teach me how to do what you're doing? Because you work so well with the children, so why don't you
Same
teach
thing
me
happened to me when I was a school
and
teacher.
eventually, at that time, in the state of Georgia, you could become what was known as a state trainer, where you could actually go into early learning facilities and help those teachers get their CEUs.
Right.
So I created a little small business called Arttastic, which was a combination of the two words art and fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And I created some CEUs, and then I added on to my training itinerary, but I went and worked in early learning, doing that as a state trainer for a long time. And when I would go in, the teachers would just really dig what I was doing, and they would always ask my advice. They would ask me about personal stuff. They would ask me about how to deal with stress. So I said, well, it looks to me like I'm pretty good with people, and they like asking me for advice. And so I've always been counseling. And to be honest with you, Queen, I was counseling when I was 10 years old.
Me too.
There was something in me that people loved to ask me for advice, and they always felt safe in my presence. And so it wasn't until many years later when I began to go into women's ministry, and I worked with lots of women, that it really was God, to be honest, because I had a family, I had a business. I was not trying to go back to school.
Right.
And it was God. He said, listen, you're going to have to go back to school and get the credentials, because the places where I want to send you, they only honor credentials.
Right.
They don't honor the anointing. They honor credentials.
Right.
So I had studied. I had my bachelor's already, so I'd gotten my master's in psychology, and then I went on to get 2 other degrees. I got a doctorate in theology and a doctorate in divinity. And so I said, well, I don't know how these 2 things are going to go together. Then I couldn't figure that part out. Theology, divinity, and psychology. Yeah. But I tell you what, it was the best decision that I had ever made in my entire life. Because now I work with clients. I'm back to doing private practice now, but I get to put the 2 things together. And I mean, wow, it's just like it's a really cool thing. But let me just digress for a moment and go back to the children for a second. When I came, I opened my own daycare at one point when I had my children, because I didn't want my kids to leave out. And so I had my own daycare business. I was the only Black-owned daycare owner in that particular part of Georgia. And I often wondered, I did that for about close to 6 years, and I often wondered, why did God have me to open up a daycare center? And he told me, because I'm going to teach you about people. And I'm like, you're going to teach me about people that have, and can I tell you, Queen, now when I meet people and I work with people by the Spirit, I say, oh yeah, that's Patrick right there. Yeah. Okay, that's Jason right there. Yeah. Oh, that's Tisha right there. Yeah. I can see people based on the children that I work with and their behaviors and things like that. But I think life is so awesome in how God will take you from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And I never did make it to Paris, though that is my dream. But I never did make it over there. But I'm going though. I'm going. London is my destiny. Yeah. But it's just, I get amazed at how God will just take you from one thing to one thing. And then when you look back, you can see how it all starts to fit together. You can see how he starts building you in purpose and in destiny, and how he puts everything just all together. So now I totally get why I worked with children. I get why I started my own daycare. I get why I was a state trainer. I get, why I did women's ministry and how I went into psychology and put those things together. I mean, I get it now, but of course, took so many years. But the Bible, it says it this way: all things work together.
All things
for the good, even the bad stuff that happens
Yeah.
to us, okay? Even the really traumatizing stuff. It's
Yes.
going to work together for your good. You know, all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and are called according to his
According to her.
purpose. So he knows how to put it all together.
Yes. I also love the scripture, and all that getting, get understanding, right? And everything he took you through, it was boot camp. I promise you, we have lived almost the same life in some areas.
Wow.
I had my own daycare as well. I was a preschool teacher. I have my certification and my degree and my director's license in early childhood education.
Yep,
And I
yep.
didn't understand, like, there was a whole season of that. And I would go into other daycares and teach the directors and help them. And then I went from that to being a certified medical assistant. That's really, God, like, I didn't get it. I did not get it. However, and but take my personal experience, take the things that I've learned through all of those, take what I've learned through the Lord as a minister. When it's time to minister to people, there's nothing anybody could tell me that would shock me, and nothing anybody could tell me that God won't give me an answer for them on. Now, I might not be able to tell you how to get free from an addiction of drugs, but I know some counselors that can tell you. What I can help you on is those areas that you're trying to fill with those drugs, because every single thing was boot camp. Everything taught me something different. And as you say, all things work together. And all I get and get an understanding. So we have understanding, don't we?
What you talking about?
I mean, God is amazing how he does things. I don't always understand. I did not always understand, but I will understand as I continue to go in the things that he's called me to do. So I'm glad you shared that.
Well, thank you.
What was it that drew you to Black women? Why is that your heart and your passion? Other than the fact that you are a Black woman.
That part. Well, so I'll answer that question and then be able to tell you about the book at the same time.
Go ahead.
So when I was in private practice, I realized early on that, you know, the people that I really wanted to help, they couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford $150 and $200 an hour. So I took a leap of faith and abandoned, you know, good money, and decided that I would work in the inner city. And 5 years of working with women, I started to do some analysis, and 98% of my clients were African American women. I had some Caucasian, but 98% of the women I had were African American. All of those women had what we call duo diagnoses. So they were diagnosed with combinations of ADHD, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. And I'm going to say PTSD, but now in my opinion, I think that at least I'm going to just take a hypothesis here and say at least 80% of all Black people have some degree of PTSD. And often I get challenged with that when I've done previous interviews and stuff. But
Right.
it really just can make sense when you know what PTSD is.
Absolutely.
There would be no way that a people could be subjugated to the things that we've been subjugated to for over 400 years and not be scarred mentally and emotionally. They're just without any treatment. Okay.
Yeah.
So and we're still going through it. So there would be no way. But you know, it was me really in touch with my own pain, Nikki. In touch with where I had been, that really I said, this is it for me here. This is my call.
Right.
And I was thinking about, I said, well, other than therapy, what else do Black women need? And I said, well, I know they need support, but mainly they need an opportunity to be able to share their voice. They need an opportunity to be able to tell their story the way that they want to tell it, because oftentimes as a diaspora, we don't get to tell our own story, and the people that tell it, they tell it wrong. And so I said, well, I'd never published before. I'll do a book. I thought about it, but then in that year when I had decided that I would do a book, then I lost my best friend, which was my dad. And then I was dating somebody at the time, and that relationship crumbled. And then I lost a major contract that I had, which was how I was keeping my, financially sustaining myself. I lost 2 cars, and I was like, I'm not doing no book right now, And one night I was at home, and I needed a lot of stuff. And I know a lot of women, but I just couldn't think of one woman that I could say, hey, I need some stuff and feel okay with that. And I couldn't think of anybody in that moment. So I got something to eat. I took a shower, and all of a sudden, Nikki, I began to cry profusely. I mean, I couldn't stop crying. And I really didn't understand this level of sorrow or this experience I was having. I couldn't. And then all of a sudden the tears dried up. I sat on the edge of the bed, and I was like, what was that really about? And God spoke to me, and he said, you know how you just felt? You felt alone, unsupported. You felt dark. You felt lonely. He said, there's millions of Black women that feel that way every day. And I knew that was my journey, was to empower and speak to the hearts and minds of my sisters. I tell Caucasian women and Asian women, I love all women. I love all people.
Right.
But it is incumbent of me to love my sisters first and foremost. I can substantiate that with scripture, because there's been people who fought me on it. They said you're racist and all of this kind of stuff. Well, the Bible tells us that charity begins where?
I was literally, when you were saying it, I was thinking, but charity begins at home, right? Because technically what you're doing when you love these women is you are loving Carolyn. Anyway,
and when you translate the word charity in Greek, that word charity means love. That's what it really means. So we must love ourselves first before we can authentically love anybody else. But before I wrote the book, and this again was just divine intervention, Nikki, I was led to watch the Black Panther movement. This particular one is called The Vanguard of the Movement. I watched that movie 500 times. Over and over.
Was that a black and white document?
It was.
Documentary? I think I saw that one. And
I couldn't understand why was I watching this movie so many times. I understand now, but one of the things that Huey used to say all the time, this is him and Fred, and they came up with it, power to the people. And they said power to Black people, power to brown people, power to yellow people, power to the people. In other words, do your thing.
That's it.
Celebrate your culture.
And the power lies in you.
Okay. So, so it's not about being anti-white or anti-Chinese or anti-anything. It's all about being pro-Black and being pro-me and being pro-love. That's all that's about. Yeah. Right. So it's been a cool journey. I tell you, it's been a powerful journey. But after we published the book, then all the women that were looking at us, it was 13 that did the book, they started calling it a movement. I was like, wait a minute. Now, I'm not trying to do no movement. I just done the book. I'm getting ready to go back to work. You know what I mean? Of course,
back to your plans again.
Now, I'll come back to my plan, but of course, that never did happen. And then it just went on and on. So everybody calls it the I'm a Black Woman movement. So, hey, here we are now. Here we are now, and this is a cool thing because I've become a part of the community where I met you, which is a One Love community, right? So it's like now the movement grows larger because now we've become one and integrated, and powerful things are happening over there, over here, and so it's just like, man, it's a beautiful thing. What I'm going to say, what God is doing, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. I find it ironic when Jewish people have their children and their culture, they sit around families to families and they teach it and they do things together, and the money circulates in their community and they help each other and they give each other jobs. Nobody calls that racism. When Asian people do the exact same thing, they literally hire their family members, but they hire their own people, and we patron their businesses. Nobody calls that racism. But just like it was and how they did Fred and many of the Black Panther leaders, the moment Black people come together in unity and begin to rise up, there's so much fear in the power of our unity that now we're racist and we're terrorists and everybody's afraid. I offer you, sister, that you no longer have to defend that anymore. Let them think what they think. Your job is to do what God called you to do.
You better say it.
That's your job, because when everybody else does it, nobody calls it racism. And I'm not going to talk about
patriotism. That's what they. But guess what? They doing what they're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to help your culture rise up, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, and there's definitely nothing wrong. But this is a question I just want to put out in the atmosphere for the viewers, right?
Go ahead.
When we start getting together,
that part.
Now, I don't care what culture gets together. I don't care what culture starts to wave signs and picket and walk and all that. Why, when we start getting together?
It's a whole issue.
Why? And I want to go a little bit deeper. Why is Black people, when we start getting together, is the fear accelerated? But even deeper than that, when Black women start coming together, now there's another layer of fear.
Whole nother layer. Yeah.
Why? Now, why is that?
Even
in the party, many of the sisters who were leaders in the party, they talk about when they first started how that there was a lot of discrimination, even between, against the women that were in the movement. There's something very terrifying about when Black women get together. That's a terror to a lot of people. And why is that?
Because our ability to birth, our ability to carry, our ability to have strength no matter what. Listen, I love my kings, I love my Black men, but even the Black woman has to carry him sometimes. We birth the world and then have to carry it on our shoulders. Don't matter if you're sick, tired, depressed, broke, full of PTSD, full of drama, no matter what. You could be pregnant and still carrying, but you're always carrying something on your shoulder. And the crazy part about it is we carry white people on our shoulders too. And I mean that by no disrespect, but if you go back from slavery until now, even in the corporate world or at your job, you're the one that has to always be quiet and take everything, because if you voice how you feel, now you're the angry Black woman, or you're a bitch, or you're too independent. So it's always us carrying, and always got to be quiet. You got to be strong and quiet. You got to carry stuff and be quiet. You have to do everything, but you can't complain. You don't get a day off. That's how powerful we are. We can do all of that no matter what, and still be on our knees and pray, and still take care of our children, and still be there for our men. So we can do all of that. Dare not you and I come together, and then you and I and somebody else come together, and then it's 10 of us, and then it's 20 of us. That's a whole community, a whole new community starting, and they don't know what to do with that. No. That's why the lie was put out there years ago that women can't work together.
And that's a lie.
We're too jealous, we're too catty. And some of us believe those lies. Yes. And we start to embody those lies.
That's right.
But I venture to say we can do that. We do it. We have done it. And
we're doing it right now.
Absolutely.
we're doing it right now. And you see, the thing is that the healing for Black women is to understand and to embrace our divine selves, because that's where the power lies. We carry the gene that determines the culture all over for everybody.
Right.
Every culture that there is has come out of that beautiful gene that only we possess.
Right.
And like you mentioned, because we are the birthers. We birth out life. I mean, even when you think about the way that a man is anatomically built, you see, he releases, okay, and he inputs. We receive it. We are built to receive. We receive it. We incubate it. We carry it. We nurture it, and then birth it. And this is why a Black woman is so important to a Black man, or should be anyway, because when he releases his dream, his vision, his energy, then we're the one that captures it. We make it safe. We incubate it. We nurture it, and then we birth out what is already in him.
That part.
So you see, we are a needful force. Okay, when women get together, something very powerful in the earth realm begins to happen. And see, the enemy knows that, and that's the reason why he perpetuates the lie that we don't get along. And then, as you said, and then we buy into it. But those of us queens that operate and understand and have tapped into our divinity, and we know who we are, then we know getting along is it's natural.
That's it.
To call you my queen sister, natural. I don't have to work to do that. To say I love you, that's natural.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? That's just energy. That's just energy to energy. That's just the deep, as the Bible says, that's deep calling unto deep.
That's it.
That's the deep in you and the deep in me. That's just us coming together in what I call, a term I use called sister synergy. That's all it is. You know, and we come together, then something happens in the stratosphere, and everybody begins to feel it, and the earth begins to quake, and the earth begins to shake when we make things move. And so a woman that understands her power and doesn't abuse it, and she understands exactly how to use it, she understands that she has influence over a king, okay, to be able to help him so that he can take his rightful place in this earth realm. Hey, on the chessboard, the queen is the most powerful piece. And her job is to navigate and to move all over that chessboard just to make room for the king to go and handle his business and do exactly. And she will knock down every pawn, every rook, every knight. She'll knock everything down just to make way for the king. Now, there's a lot of women that have a problem with that. That's because they don't understand their divine. And they're like, I'm not fitting to do all that for no man. But see, when you understand who you are in your divine self, you understand that you're not doing that for a man.
Come on.
But you're really doing that for God. When you operate as the queen on that chessboard, you understand that you're making room for God to go forward and to do what God needs to do in the earth realm through a vessel called a man. One interviewer asked me one time, he said, okay, well, you know your place. I said, no, brother, I know my position. It's a difference.
That part.
I know how to play my position.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you got to operate in your position. Yeah. I want to say this to everybody who's listening. I say this all the time, and this is a huge passion in my heart. There is a scripture that talks about every need being supplied. There should not be hunger in your community, because everybody should be getting together to help and meet every need should be supplied. In every apartment complex I've ever lived in, every neighborhood I've ever lived in, I made sure everybody had my phone number. Because if you're getting low on food, if your kids need something, if you need something, you're not by yourself, call me. And I want to make sure everybody gets into that network, because, okay, well, today I might not be able to keep your kids, but I cooked some extra food for y'all to come and eat. Every need be supplied. I'm going to go to the store. I see extra chicken or milk on sale, and I know sister got 2 kids. Every need be supplied. Brother down there struggling to get to work to feed his family. I don't know how to fix the car, but let me call my cousin. Every need be supplied. That's what we should be doing as a community. Every need can be supplied, because what Nikki doesn't have, let me holler at Carolyn and see, because Carolyn might not have it, but girl, I just met somebody named Lynn who can do, let me get with her. There was a young woman one time that God had me doing a life makeover with. And when it came down to her hair and her cosmetics, I called my hairstylist and said, look, this young woman needs this. I explained the situation. She said, tell her to be here by such time on this day. All it took was somebody loving somebody enough to reach out to somebody else to make sure every need was supplied. And that is what we should be doing for each other. That is how we love our community. That is how we save ourselves. You should not have to go to an agency to get assistance if every need was being supplied in our communities and in our families. Okay, I had to say that.
Now, Queen, that's the power. That's the power of divine femininity right there, because that's the kind of thing that we make happen. Because when you think about it, who knows more about home life than we do? So yeah, we're in touch with the needs of the home, and we're in touch with those things. And I just think that what you just said was so powerful. I mean, that was so powerful, and it shows your beauty. Well, I know you're beautiful inside and out, but it shows your beauty. And I don't know, as I was sitting here, I don't want to digress too much, but I want to follow spirit by saying that what I just heard in my inner being was to say to you, thank you for living. Thank you for wanting to stay alive. Thank you for living. I don't really know the full context of what that means, but I just heard that in my spirit to tell. The Creator said, tell her thank you for living. Thank her for living, because now there are so many people that get the benefit from your decision to decide to live. There's so many. See, if you had not lived, then there'd be some people that would not have gotten the benefit from your life. But now there's so many people that get the benefit of Nikki. They get the gift. They get the gift of Nikki, and you're a gift. And I felt led to say that. But I want to say also that what you just said about the food and clothes and things of that sort, that is so scriptural, because in the book of Acts, in the 2nd chapter, and it talks about how that there was a day. Now they were actually there 49 days, but on the 50th day, Penta, they all came together on one accord. But look at what happened. When they came together on one accord, it talks about how there was this synergy that we know of as the Holy Spirit. But it's the part after that really intrigues me. And that's where I built my business on, Black House Collaborations. Is that after that event took place, and then they went out to the street and they began to minister to people, it says in their own language. But then it also goes on to say that as they begin to build the church and they had koinonia, it says this, Queen, that no man had lack of anything.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that everybody had food. Yeah. Everybody had clothes. Yes. Everybody had some place to stay. Yes. But what had to happen in order for that to happen? They all had to come together on one accord. Yeah. And that's the reason why I say collaboration, because we got to get together. See, for all the Christians that are listening out there, let me tell you, there are some blessings that you and I and Queen will never, ever be able to tap into until we hook up with somebody.
That's it.
Okay? Until we merge with somebody, until we get rid of all of this pride and selfishness and manipulation, and it's all about me and mine, until we abandon all of that, there are some divine blessings that you and I will never be able to tap into until we get with you, until you get with me. And so that's the reason why we got to get rid of all isms and all the schisms, and all the queens got to stop. I don't like her hair. I don't like her glasses. I don't like how she is. You better learn to like it. As we say out there in the street, if God love it, you better like it.
Come on now.
That's the only way we're going to really tap into our divine blessing. That's why I'm glad to be here in this atmosphere, because this atmosphere that I'm in, this show, I don't call it a show. I call it an experience.
Come on.
Coming together with you is a part of my purpose and my destiny. That's why I was so excited, because there's something that the Creator is going to do for me as a result of me sitting here next to this powerful queen. And I'm excited about that I said yes to the universe to be here, and I'm excited that you said yes to having me come. And so I know I'm gonna be blessed from it. You're gonna be blessed, and the people listening, they're gonna be blessed, because we said yes to the Creator and decided to come together. So that coming together thing is very powerful.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Ooh. Thank you. Thank you for your obedience. I'm going to share the fullness of it with you, because I have shared it on my other podcasts before. But there was a time when I didn't want to live. I begged to die, and I tried to. I had gone through molestation. I'd gone through rape. I had gone through so many things. I said my children would be better off with a better mother. They would be better off with somebody that was not so broken. And I was so done with pain and hurt. I was so tired. I thank God he didn't let me die. And I thank God he did not give me what the desires of my heart were. And because of that, I take absolutely everything that I've ever been through and I use it. I use it to make sure other people are not struggling, they're not suffering, to make sure people can get healed and delivered and set free. And I would not have this passion if I hadn't gone through what I went through. I wouldn't know what it's like to try to figure out how you're going to feed your kids if I myself didn't try to put together 97 cents for a box of snack cakes just so they could eat that, because that's all I could find.
That's right.
We were homeless, living in a car, living on people's floors. I wouldn't know what it's like. I'm a housing commissioner now. So when I go in, I'm in those meetings, I'm fighting because I know what it's like to be out there on the street or living in your car or stay in a hotel until your money runs out. Because I have been there, God allows me to take what I've learned to bless other people. That is what I'm going to ask of everybody watching today. I don't care if you're black, white, man, or woman. If you are listening to this today, you survived it. Now help other people. Now I'm going to speak to my people. You survived it. Now help other people. We survived. Now help other people. Come together. I don't care if it's 3 of y'all. Come together and make sure that every need is supplied. And I'm going to say that one more time. I don't care if it's counseling. I don't care if somebody needs to talk or cry. I don't care if somebody needs a woman's day out. Somebody needs a babysitter. Make sure every need is supplied. On that note, Dr. Carolyn, I have to ask you this. With all of the people that you work with, the families, the communities, where do you see Black women in mental health right now?
Where I see Black women and mental health, I do see that there is an increasing receptiveness to receiving mental health services. So I'm really glad about that. There are more of us now coming into the field as therapists and psychiatrists and psychoanalysts, so that Black and brown people can see another face that looks like them.
Yes.
I see more Black women coming into the field, and I'm really happy about that, because I think that is need for. I think we need more Black men,
yes,
sure, to come into that field. Not only that field, but also education as well. But I believe that as a diaspora that we are coming to terms, Nikki, with the fact that as a diaspora that we have endured a lot of pain, even though that may have been 400 years ago, 300, 200, 100, maybe even 50. But I think that more of us are accepting the fact that we just need to heal. That if we're going to have better relationships, we got to heal. If we're going to be better mothers, if we're going to be better business women, which I'm particularly excited about, because I have a program where I work with Black business women and mental health. If we're going to be builders, we've got to see about our mental health. Everything starts with the mind.
Yes.
And I see more Black women coming to grips with that, they're living in some generational stuff that's toxic, and at least what there might be still a large number of women who may not want to receive therapeutic services. But what I am seeing as I work with professional women, especially, that they are accepting that something is wrong. And that's the first step, is accepting, hey, something is wrong. And so I extend an olive branch through my business and my programs by simply saying to Black women, come and take the journey with me. It's a journey for the both of us, for all of us, and come and take the journey with me. And so I'm excited about what I'm seeing as in reference to Black women and mental health. I'm really excited about it.
Amen. That's such a beautiful thing. And for those that have been thinking about it, but it's still a taboo thing to you, or if you are a Christian, a follower of Christ, I know in the church, we've been taught for a long time, and even within our families, that that's not for Black people. That's not for Christians. You're supposed to pray. Listen, read your word, because some of his disciples were physicians. Get you some counseling. I'm not going to even try to pretty it up. If you need help, go get it. End of story. I want to ask you this question, Dr. Carolyn. What are 5 things you wish everyone knew about Black women?
Oh, wow. 5 things that I wish that everyone knew about Black women. 1, we don't always want to be strong.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
We don't always want to be strong.
That's my number 1 that I wrote down.
I mean, listen, I know we are, but we don't always want to be the strong gal. Okay. Give us room to not be so strong. Yes. We don't always want to be strong. Number 2, we want to be heard.
Say that again.
We want to be heard.
Yes.
Let us talk in our voice. I mean, we're going to do it anyway because we're Black. So, I mean, you know, we ain't going to ask no permission to talk. Okay. You know, unlike our European counterparts, see, we didn't need no women's liberation. That's why I always told Black women, I don't know why y'all was getting on them lines and holding up them signs anyway, because that wasn't for us. That was for them. Okay. We always been liberated. So we're going to talk anyway, but it's so much better when you don't try to suppress us and allow us to utilize the voices, the beautiful voices that God gave us. So I would say that number 3. Now I'm going to say something here that's probably going to make some women say, what you say now? I'm going to say, despite what you have heard, we do need a man. Okay. We need men. Okay. We need that. We need them. Not just like them, but we need you, brothers. Yes. Okay. And forgive us for not saying that more often. Yeah. Out of our hurt and pain and trying to be independent, we've said that. But we do need you. And we understand that now, and we humble ourselves when we say that. But you know, you need us as well. But we say that and y'all know y'all need us, but we need you. We need you. So we do need our men. I would say number 4 is that when you call us the angry Black woman, we don't appreciate that.
Not at all.
Because now we are angry. Not in the way that you mean it, but we are angry. I will say I'm mad about some stuff. I know Nikki's mad about some stuff. So we freely admit that, yes, we are angry about some things. And we have a right to be, you know. So please do not put us in that box and demean us by calling us angry Black women. And understand that we do have a reason. But instead, we are passionate beings. That's what we are. We are very passionate. I think number 5 is going to run along with number 4. We're deep. The depth of a Black woman has no end. Has no end. It would do you good as a king. It would do you good as a white woman. It would do you good as a white man, a Hispanic man, or an Asian man, to walk alongside of a Black woman, because I promise you that your life will never, ever be the same, because we touch people. And not only do we touch people, but we change lives. whether it was Big Mama sitting on her lap talking to you and just giving you wisdom, or the sister that you know that's bossed up. We give life. We deserve to be heard. But you would benefit so much if you would connect with a Black woman, whether that be somebody that you love romantically, whether that be a sister that you admire and just want her to be a part of whatever it is that you're doing. Because if you're trying to build something, you need a Black woman. If you're trying to have something, you need a Black woman. If you want to experience love at a deeper level, you need a Black woman. Let me tell you something. We're getting tired of people treating us like we're not needful. We are needful. As a matter of fact, not only are we needful, but you got to have us. Your life won't even be complete unless you have us somewhere up in your life. So that would be the 5 things that I would say about a Black woman.
I love all of it. I did have some of that on my list. I want to say, if you listen to us and let us talk, you may not get it so angrily. I'm leaving it right there. We need a safe place to land too. We are being taught that we have to be safe places for our men to land, for our children to come to. We need safe places too. We need security too. A lot of the times we are the head of our own household because someone made the decision to walk away and didn't come back. So it's just a lot that we have to face and do on our own. Oh, that we have safe places we can land.
That is so, that right there, that could really be number 1, to be honest.
Yeah.
When you look at us, I mean, we might look like we got it all together, but I'm going to tell you, we are scared. And ain't no harm in saying we're scared.
Right.
It's just that our beauty is that we know how to take fear and put you to the side and do what we got to do.
Yeah.
You know? But
we got to put lipstick on that fear and keep going.
And keep going, because our tagline is, I'm a Black woman. We do what we got to do. But I would like to see us be at a point where we're not always doing what we got to do, and we're doing what we want to do, and we're doing what we love to do, and we're doing what we're designed to do, and not always living life doing what you got to do.
That's it. Or what you want me to do. Sometimes I just want to be me. Whatever that shows up as, with the wig, without a wig, with the bra, without a bra, with makeup, without makeup, mad, sad, finally crying and releasing the rape, the molestation. I just want to be me, and I want to have a safe place. The same way I'm going to provide that for my husband, and I provide that for my children and my brothers and everybody male that calls me for help and advice. Sometimes I want that too. I don't want you to fix it. I want you just to listen. I don't want you to tell me what to do next. I just want to be heard. Hold me. Tell me that it's okay. Tell me that I'm safe. Let me know that you see me. Not just see me when I'm beneficial to you to help you build. See me. Let me know that it's all right. I know right now you feel weak. I know you're terrified. I know you don't know where it's coming from, but I got you. That's what we want too. That's what we want.
Oh, sister, I wish we had more time, because let me tell you, you pressed the button in me, because those are my favorite 3 words that I like to hear come from a king.
What's that? I got you.
Well, it was when you said that, and I was saying that was glorious, because those are my favorite 3 words that I like to hear come from a king. I got you.
Yes.
That's what every Black woman wants to hear.
Mm-hmm.
That I got you. You okay. And another 2 favorite words, well, 3 favorite words I like to hear from a king is, I see you.
That's it. Yeah.
I see you. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about the you that got the hair, the makeup, but I see you. I see the inside of you. Yes. I see the broken parts of you, but I see the strong parts of you. Yeah. And I dig them both. Mm-hmm. You know, I see the powerful part of you, but I see the weak part of you. Mm-hmm. But I dig them both.
Yes.
Because as Black women, we just get, we get handed a raw deal a lot, and the expectation, and I'm speaking mainly from, because we know from society the expectation is high, but
right.
We would like to be able to have a place to lay it all down within our kings.
Yeah.
You know, we like to be able to do, you know, we like to not have a criteria of how our hair should look, or how big our butt should look, or how big our boobs should
Yes.
be, or how tiny our waist should be.
Yes.
Look at my heart.
Yeah.
Look at my heart.
Yeah.
That's what we want. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the images that we see being perpetuated by Black women to look a certain way, to act a certain way. And I don't say people don't make their own choices, Queen, but a lot of times Black women are you know, they're going in, they're assimilating to these particular types of images and molds, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, they want to please and attract a Black man.
Yeah.
You know, and so some men may say, nah, that ain't true. Yes, it is, because you know what? One day I looked at an interview with some athletes. They were football players and basketball players, and I'm just keep it real. I looked at their wives. All of their wives looked about as close to white as they could be. Their hair looked a certain kind of way, and I was like,
Right.
wow. There was one sister there with her natural hair. There was one sister there that was a darker skin complexion or anything. That sends a very, very loud message to the brothers that's got some coins, you know. And I'm not saying all brothers feel that way. I'm only saying that it is a demonstration of, you know, the expectations that are placed upon us sometimes as Black women.
Yeah.
And you know, if we have to break out of that mold. But you know, what woman don't want to be loved by a king? Hey,
That's
what
it.
woman don't want no Black man to be attracted to her unless you plan on being alone? Sure you do. So you learn how to fix your hair a certain way, even if you kill your hair follicles. You know, you learn how to burn and fry and dye your hair to look a certain way, or to get close to looking white as you possibly can. You learn how to walk, and you learn how to talk. You mutilate your body so you can get rid of some of the fat and stuff like that. You add on behind, on top of behind, so it could be big enough to be.
You make your already juicy lips bigger.
We go through so many changes other than just flat out being ourselves. So when I say what we want from a king, just say those words: I see you.
Yes. Say that again.
I see you, Queen, and I dig it. All of it. I dig all of it.
If I can add on to it real quick, this is for our Black kings that I don't know why Black women wear this and do that, because we are the only race of women that are competing against us and a whole bunch of other cultures. The majority of white men want white women. The majority of Hispanic men want Hispanic women, but our men won't. So it's us. And then it's us and them, and it's us and them, and then it's us and them. And then we live in a society where white men have said, this is the beauty standard.
That's right.
So you have white women looking like Black women trying to meet up to the white woman's beauty standard. That was ours. But we're trying to meet our own standard because they said that's the standard, because it's really that. Yeah, it's a whole lot we carry. So again, we want a soft place to land, and we want to be told that I got you, I see you, and it's going to be all right. All right, as we close up, I want to ask you some questions. I hope we can do a part 2. There's so much more.
I was just thinking that. So I said, I hope she has to do a part 2.
Yes.
We got to do a part 2. We're
going to do a part 2. Let's please get that together on the schedule, because there's so many more things I want to talk about. But I want to give them an opportunity to kind of get to know your heart a little bit on a couple of things. And then we're going to end with our segment that you're going to be reading. What's one thing you wish people knew about you, Black woman?
Oh, wow. I'm a soft woman that loves love. You know?
Yeah.
I love love, and I love real love.
Yes.
I love loving my sisters, and I love loving my kings.
Yes.
You know, and that is something that I wish that everybody knew about me.
I love that. You're my twin in that area.
I know it.
It's so big. It's so big, and I love people on sight. And I love, love, love is beautiful. Black love is beautiful. And when you told me that, well, you told us all on the Zoom, you said, y'all might not believe this, but I'm going to tell you something. I love all of y'all. I was like, I believe it, and I love you too.
Yes,
I
I
had
do.
never met you. We still have not met each other in person,
Right.
but I love you. And when we message back and forth and when we're texting, that's real, real love. That's real queenness. That's real sisterhood. So in front of everybody says, thank you.
Oh, thank you, sister, and I love you. I do.
Thank you. What are your superpowers?
My superpower is love. That's that's my superpower. I lead in love. I do business in love. I work best in an environment that is infused with love.
Yeah.
That's my superpower, to love those that don't love themselves, to love the loveless, to love those that other people might not want to love.
Yeah.
That I would say that is my superpower.
Mm. I'm going to say a word. You tell me the first word that comes to mind. Challenge.
Victory.
God.
Divine.
Peace.
Life.
Woman.
Power.
Quickly tell us, how does doctor, therapist, counselor, CEO, author take care of Carolyn?
Oh, wow. How I take care of me. One, I choose my friends wisely.
Amen. That's a whole episode too.
Oh yeah. I choose my friends wisely. And so I intentionally surround myself with good energy, positive energy, people that I don't have to guess or wonder, do they love me? Do they get me? Do they dig me? No, I intentionally allow the creator to put people in my life that I don't have to guess or wonder. See, I'm an individual. You don't have to guess or wonder about me.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you every time I get a chance how much I love you.
Yeah.
I'm going to use terms of endearment. I hate having to guess about how people feel about me. That's a pet peeve I got, that I got to sit around, even if it's a king. I wonder, how did he feel about me? Chances are that's a king I'm not going to keep rocking with.
Right.
I don't want to have to use this beautiful brain of mine to have to figure out how you feel about me. We shouldn't do that to each other. Every opportunity we get, tell people you love how you and not, tell them how you really feel, because we play a lot of games too.
That part.
I mean, I really am digging them, but I ain't gonna tell. Why not? Why wouldn't you not do that? See, we've been trained with all this old toxic stuff. I'm only gonna tell them 3/4 of how I feel about them. I get it though, because you're afraid that you're gonna be hurt. But hey, we gotta love each other.
That's it.
And we gotta tell each other that we gotta show each other. But how I take care of myself, because I surround myself intentionally with good people that give me good vibes every day. I'm a loved woman. I didn't say I had a whole lot of people now. It might just be a handful, but I'm a very loved woman, and I feel that love and I feel that energy. Like what I'm feeling now, I feel that on a daily basis because I'm intentional about the people that I navigate with. I take care of my mind. There's nothing that is more important than keeping my mind intact. There's not money, which I'll say that's the other way I take care of myself. I don't focus on money. I take care of myself by not focusing on money. I take care of myself by focusing on my passion. I wake up every morning of my life now and I do what I want to do. I do what I like to do, And so I've got a couple other self-care things, that I do. But those are probably the main things that I do. And I treat myself good. I make sure that I intentionally treat myself good. There wasn't always the time that I treated myself good. I've always treated other people good.
Right.
I was notorious for that, but I didn't always treat me good. Right. So I learned how to treat me good first without feeling selfish. Sometimes we feel selfish for treating ourselves good. Well, here's the thing. If you don't treat yourself good, there will be no you to treat other people good anyway. So you need to take care of you first. It's okay to take care of you first, and then you let that love come out to other people. So that's how Dr. Carolyn takes care of herself.
I love that, because if you're not loving you first, you're out of order.
Oh no, yes, you completely. And I was out of order for a long time.
Me too.
I was out. I'm not gonna lie. I was out of order for a
Me too,
long
and
time.
out of balance.
And out of balance. And the biggest thing with that was when I learned how to stop loving a man more than I love myself, I was completely set free.
Come on.
That's where women make their biggest problem. When you love a man more than you love you, you're gonna always get yourself in trouble, because what you're telling the creator is that I love this man more than what you made. I love this man more than I love you, God. And I'm gonna tell you that if anything that you love more than God, you about to be in trouble. It would be called heartbreak.
That part.
That's why God allowed that man to break your heart, because you was out of sync. You was out of divine sync. So you never love another individual more than you love yourself, because you get to love people out of the way that you love yourself. And when you don't love yourself, you can't really love anybody else.
That's it. And you gotta love from an overflow or a filled place, and not from a deficit. There's so much more. We are gonna do a part 2. But yes, our last segment. So here in season 4, this is our new season, Dr. Carolyn. So here in this season, I've been asking my guests to, with the knowledge that they have now, to write a letter to their younger selves at any part in life where they may have been struggling, going through things, facing some hard times. With what you know now, what advice would you give to your younger self to overcome those obstacles? So this new segment is called Then. All right. Well, Mommy Then. So what I'm going to do is ask Dr. Carolyn Stevens, my sweet, beautiful queen, to read to us the letter that she chose to write to her younger self. I'm going to get off the camera so you can have this, sis.
To me, somewhere around age 12. Hey, Queen, I want to talk to you and first tell you that I love you. If I could just reach out and grab you and hug you and tell you that you are going to be okay. You have one of the deepest hearts of any person I know. And your superpower is love. I know right now, when you look out into the world, you see nothing but the good in people. However, there are going to be some things that you are going to experience that will make you look at the world as a not so nice place. But guess what, Queen? You are going to be okay. I know you wish that some of the girls in school wouldn't pick on you, especially that Rita Negron. But heads up, you're going to kick her butt one day after school at 3 o'clock, and things are going to really change. So don't worry, Queen. You are going to be okay. Boys, oh yeah. Let me tell you, beautiful, I know you were really confused about that part, especially when that Tyrone Baycoat kissed you on the stairs of the 10th floor and started making all those funny noises for some reason, then covered his pants and ran upstairs. But you'll soon figure boys out soon enough. But that will bring on a lot of hard lessons with it. But don't worry, you are going to be okay. Because of that beautiful, tender heart you have that loves the sound of the water waves and playing hopscotch in the sun, you are going to feel a lot of pain in this real thing called life. But don't worry, you are going to come through it all. And I promise you, you are going to be okay. I know you don't always feel so strong, and sometimes you don't always feel so pretty or popular, but you will see that all of that is going to change. Because girl, you are going to be amazing. And as the years go by, you are really going to know that you are going to be okay. I want to tell you that you need to really believe in yourself. And I know you don't always hear that, how wonderful you are. I know you get picked on for always being so different and having your own ideas, but know through it all, you are going to be okay. You are going to be one of the most celebrated queens there ever were. Your genius and your creativity are going to capture the attention of many people who will absolutely adore you. Yeah, little queen, I know you really don't see it now, but trust me, you are going to be okay. And you know how you like to pull your hair back in a ponytail and put on your homegirl hoop earrings and just chill? That's that Brooklyn swag that people everywhere are going to grow to love. Yeah, queen, you are really going to be okay. Now, that love thing is going to be a little hard for you to figure out. And I won't lie, your heart, girl, your heart is going to be broken many times. But you are going to be okay. Because one day you're going to look in that divine mirror called self. And when you really start digging on yourself, the world is going to be dancing to a vibe that you create. Oh, yeah, that love thing, it's coming too. And your king will be a glorious representation of God on earth. And he will show you love like you have never seen. Everything you touch will turn to platinum, and life is going to be real good for you. So no, I want you to hug on yourself, listen to your heart, stop doubting yourself, and keep loving on yourself no matter what. And know this, you're going to wake up one day, and instead of saying you are just okay, you're going to look in that mirror and say, I'm okay with me, and life is divine. I love you, little queen. This is from me to you.
Whew. Thank you.
No, thank
you so much for sharing that. I am so honored that when I asked my guests to do it, you all put your whole heart into it and you take it seriously. So many people needed to hear that. So thank you. And I appreciate you doing it.
Oh, I appreciate you for allowing me to do it. Yeah.
That was beautiful. All right. So you are the author of I Am a Black Man, Ascension of the Kings. Also, the creator and author of I Am a Black Woman, the compilation. Yeah. Please tell everybody where they can find all of these books, get in contact with you for your services, connect with you to have you on their podcast, get you on their stages. Like, how can they connect with you?
Oh, boy, thank you so much. Well, you know, the easiest way to get me is to actually email me. And you can do that, all lowercase letters, at dr.carolyn, Carolyn 21, which I feel like every day, at yahoo.com. So that's dr.carolyn21 yahoo.com. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me. You can go on my Facebook page at Carolyn Stevens. I have another Facebook page which is called Dr. Carolyn, and you can message me there if you're interested in setting up an appointment with me. But those are the three easiest ways. And I'm also on Instagram, Dr. C. Stevens. You can catch me there. But the first three ways, that's the easiest way. You can reach out to me if you want to buy one of the books. We got a new version of I'm a Black Woman that'll be coming out next month, actually. I'm a Black Woman, the next level. So we take it to the next level. So you'll be able to stay in touch with me, be a part of my book club, and be able to vibe with us and get books and make appointments and just take that journey called life with us as well.
I love it. So what I like to do is give the very last words to my guest. So before I do that, I'm going to tell all of you listening, never forget that you all are overcomers, that obstacles are not barriers. If you kick them down, they become your stepping stones. I'm going to read something to you, Dr. Stevens, and I want you to speak on that as you close us out. And I want you to speak to Black women when you hear this. This is by Alice Walker. She says, the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. What is your response to that?
I love Alice Walker's writings. My response to that in my close, I want you to know, Queens, you have power. You have power. You may not have tapped into it. You may not have tapped into it because of the obstacles that you have overcome. But I want to encourage you to take every obstacle, every challenge that you have faced, every negative word that's been thrown at you, and gather it up. And I want you to step on top of it and use those things as a platform to take you where you are destined to go. And never give up your power. Never give that up to anybody else. Not for any price. You have power, and it's lying down within you. And so I hope today that within yourself, after watching this beautiful broadcast facilitated by a beautiful queen, that you say to yourself, I have the power within to do what you say, to do anything that comes to your beautiful mind to do. Thank you so much for listening to me. This is your sister, your queen sister. I'm praying for you. I'm loving on you. This is Dr. Carolyn, and thank you so much for listening to me, and thank you for sharing this space with me on today as I shared this space with this beautiful queen, Nikki. Peace and blessings to you, beautiful queens. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for joining me today. If this was your first time tuning in, welcome to the Overcomers family. I cannot adequately express my gratitude to all of you for tuning in today. If today's show helped or impacted you in any way, it would help me tremendously if you would review and rate today's episode. And please be sure to leave me a comment on whatever platform you were listening to this podcast. Also, be sure to connect with me over on Facebook and Instagram at the Obstacle Overcomer Podcast. And if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, you will be notified every time there's a new episode available. And don't forget that sharing is caring. So please go ahead and tell a friend and share this with your loved one, because this will help me to reach those who really need a word to empower their lives. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget that obstacles are not barriers. They are stepping stones. Talk to you next week.